Hello, bridge builders! I'm here with some exciting news. The first volume of interviews is now available on Amazon.com. The link can be found at eatlunchandboardgame.com. I promise that all proceeds from sales of this book will go right back into this podcast and channel. Whether that is new and better audio equipment for the podcast or video equipment for the YouTube channel, or even more games to review, the money will not be wasted. Click over to Amazon and get your copy of Eat Lunch and Board Game, the first course today. And thank you for supporting the show. All right, welcome back to Eat Lunch and Board Game. I'm your host, Adam Collins, and with me today is game designer and founder of Heirloom Games, Ron Rich. Ron, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, getting a little late, but, you know, that's the life of a podcast host.
I hear you.
So, for people who don't know who you are, what do you do for the industry?
I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. I've been doing that for 35 years now. I have backgrounds in everything with my initial background starting in the service industry, where I started a rapid prototyping service bureau here in Cleveland, Ohio. Very first one back in 1989, man. So I've been doing this for a really long time. From there, then I went to the toy industry and I designed toys for Little Tykes and Cap Toys back in the day. And then I started my very own company doing product design and development. So I did products of all types, everything from medical devices to open heart surgery and laparoscopy stuff. And you name it, I've done it. And then anything right down to a John Deere tractor. So
Oh my gosh.
I've done all kinds of things like that. And now quietly hanging out in the electronic instrument industry, designing electronic instruments. And now games, board games, of course.
Well, obviously, mechanical instruments just lends itself so well into board game design. Oh my gosh, that's crazy! Like a regular Marvin Glass.
Yeah, I've done a bunch, man.
That is crazy, dude. I had no idea about any of that. That's awesome. But it explains you told me right before we started recording that you got into 3D printing, and now I completely understand why.
Yep, that's exactly why. I knew about 3D printers before 3D printers were 3D printers.
Oh my goodness.
Back when the very first one was just SLA and that was it. And it was a laser shining on the surface of liquid. And now, now they're doing amazing things with it.
Absolutely amazing stuff, man. Crazy stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I just bought my 7th one. It's sitting downstairs. It just arrived. It arrived last Friday. I haven't had a chance to take it out of the box yet, but
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm using all the extruded ones, so what they call FDM or filament modeling. So I don't want to jump into the liquid ones yet, because I don't want to deal with all the mess of it. But either way, that's neither here nor there. We could talk about that later. We're going to talk about game design.
Oh my gosh. So what's the biggest platter? What's the biggest piece you can print?
Oh, I've got my two largest machines are 400 millimeters. So that's 15 inches by 15 inches. And I can go, I think, 20 inches high. So that's one of my claim to fame. I mean, I run a little Etsy store selling game accessories and inserts. And most of the stuff I do is all like 10 inches and above. So there's a lot of these machines I can't even buy. All the little $100, $150 machines I can't buy. I got to go step it up a few notches.
Oh my gosh. Print a big old board cube for your desk.
Yeah. So it's fun. I enjoy it a lot. I mean, I've been designing stuff in 3D for 30 something years, and it's just old hat to me.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
As I say, it was about 6 years ago that I started into game design after coming back from an Origins convention with my kids in the car. We were talking about some games we saw down there, and I happened to think up I would love an expansion to this game. So
that's how it starts, man.
It is. I came home, and that night I stayed up till, it's a 2-hour drive from Columbus to here, and I probably got home at 8 o'clock, and I didn't go to bed till 2 o'clock, and I had written the whole expansion to evolution.
There
Typed it
you,
all up, and then the next weekend I printed it all out, play tested it, and I was having a good time. I didn't know
oh
what to do with
man.
it, so I uploaded it onto BGG.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, and why not, right? Like,
yeah.
one of those people that comes up with their, what would make a fun city for Ticket to Ride? Gotham. And you sit up one night and design a whole Gotham City because why not, right?
Why not exactly?
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So if I made the journey over to Cleveland, Ohio, which is what, about 7, 8 hours from St. Louis to you?
Yeah, probably because it's 5.5, almost 6 to Indianapolis, and then you guys are what, another 2 hours,
No, we're 5 past St. Louis, past Indy.
five
I
past
guess
it.
yeah. Well, we're four past Indy. So yeah, it'd be a 9 hour drive, maybe.
Oh.
Oof. So if I make this 9 hour journey, Ron, what game are we playing? What game is out on your table right
Well,
now?
it depends what day you come. If you come on Tuesday night, I'll take you. I'll take you to my regular game meetup that we have on Tuesday nights. Usually from 5 to 9. We would meet at Panera, but COVID kind of changed things around, and
Oh
now
man.
now there's like two groups. They separated because we haven't been able to. Panera closes early. You can't get that many people together. Blah blah blah. So it's been kind of crazy over the last year. But yeah, normally we go to Tuesday night games, and there'd be 30 regulars there at
That
Panera, all playing games.
that's awesome.
So it was fun. And then also then I got a group of guys we meet with weekly. And again, COVID shuts us down, but we were meeting once a week, about 12 regular designers all meeting, talking about games, play testing, helping each other out. A couple of them had their stuff, ran Kickstarters and were successful. And back in the early
Nice.
days of Kickstarter, anyhow. And then there's a few guys that have sold to publishers. So it's kind of neat stuff, all
It's
right here in the
awesome.
local area. But if you're going to come up and we're going to play, I got all kinds of games to play. I got about 600 in my collection, a little over 600.
I try so hard to keep my collection under control, but it's just so hard.
I probably have more in shrink than you, than most people have in full collections. Well, I can't complain about my collection. I mean, my wife lets it grow, so it's not a problem. I mean, I tried to limit my space when I built my game room. I had a 10 by 8 wall, and I says, okay, I'm going to put shelving there. So I built custom shelves in on it. Of course, I designed them.
Well,
So I filled
I
it wall to
mean,
wall exactly, and it was everything I can do. And when I moved my game collection from where all the other mismatched shelves that it was on everywhere in the house, I put it on there, and I filled only about 3/4 of it.
hey, room
So
to
I had all kinds
grow.
of excuses to add more. I added so much more, and now I think one of the questions you talked to me before about it, you said, "Hey, what's sitting on my table now? What would you be playing?" Well, right now there's about a dozen games on my table. They're just still in boxes stacked up. From Origins were a few, a couple other stores and this and that, but I mean, most of them
Yeah,
are Christmas presents that I'll be giving away. But
yeah. My wife said I could stack board. I have a set of shelves, and she's like, I can stack them all the way to the ceiling. And then I took her at her word, and she's like, you can't buy
again,
more games. I'm like, hey, I haven't touched the ceiling yet.
that's the
So
way
I'm
to
getting
go.
close. Well, part of it is I changed jobs and I had to bring the like 16 games from my office home, and so
Oh yeah, that
uh,
does it.
yeah, so that
I
took
only,
up
only have
another.
one at the office right now, and that's only because it was one I picked up at a thrift shop, and it's a duplicate of what I have at home. So I got a Settlers of Catan sitting in my desk, $4
Well,
special.
at least
Couldn't
you
go
say
wrong.
Catan right. Can mark that question off my list. You say it correctly. We'll move on. So
Well, what happens if I said it wrong? Catan.
sometimes, oh no. Well, I'll tell you though. That's at least you don't say something weird like Caton or something.
Oh, that's true.
So, do you play games at lunch?
I do. Again, our office has been home since
Sure.
COVID for most part. So since COVID, I have not. But prior to that, there's 8 or 9 of us,
That's
maybe
awesome.
roughly.
That's a good group.
Um, Now I wish we were in our parent companies in Portland, Oregon, and we're in
Hmm.
Cleveland. And over there, they've got even more at their office. But anyhow, we play all kinds of things. The biggest problem is that when we get a bunch of us together, we had couldn't play a lot of games because either if you're trying to play a 6 or so player game, it's going to go longer than our lunch period, and nobody else likes to teach games, so I'm always the one teaching. And it's like, okay, if we had two people to teach, you could break up and play two 4-player games or something like that.
That was one
But
advantage I had at my last job. Once I worked for a big company and we bought another company, and once more they already had a thriving board game group in their office, and then we had a thriving group in our office. So we already had enough people teaching. So we usually had two games going. Sometimes we'd break out and have even three or four, depending on how many people showed up and what games are being played. So that's great. So what
it's
were
a
you
good time.
playing? So what were you playing if you played for a
Um,
full 60 minutes? What was your guys' go to 60-minute game?
ooh, trying to think of the one we played maybe the most. We played a lot of Star Trek Next Generation deck builder. We played a lot of that. Um, Man, I'm drawing a blank. It's been 2 years now since we, stupid COVID.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've played. I know we played Gizmos there. We've played New York Pizza Delivery, the game I designed there before. I mean, it was one of my first play tests with unskilled players. Let's put it that way.
Well, and I'll
Because
tell
I brought.
you,
That's how I got two of my other mechanical engineers in my group hooked into board games. Is that they played that and they said, "Do you design this?" I said, "Yeah, I got more like this. You want to see some more?" And they were all for it. So I
no,
said, "What kind of things you like?" And they'd give me some things, and I'd go home and I'd bring a game in, as long as I knew I can try to get it in. Even if we couldn't get a full game in, sometimes we run over. I mean, our company was very lax on that. It wasn't like, hey, crack the whip and throw you back into the dungeon. But
well, that's
if we,
good
if
to
we ran
know.
an hour and 20 minutes, it was no big deal. But we had a lot of good games. But Space Base um, was one we played a lot at lunch.
Ooh, I like that one. That's a good
And
one.
again, because that's a quick one, and it'll play
That,
up to 7 players.
yeah, that's about a 30-minute one too. That's a pretty quick hit.
Not with seven
Not with
players.
no, no.
Yeah, but yes, with 4 players, absolutely, you could do that in 30 minutes,
that
no problem.
that's
Especially
why I
good
love
players.
That's why I love Seven Wonders. It doesn't matter if you have 3 or 7 players. That game is 40 minutes. Boom, that's it.
Yeah.
Because it scales and it doesn't matter. It
Well,
just takes longer to pack it away.
one of my other game designs kind of morphed its way into that world because we had an event at work, and I'm involved in their what we call the TCA. It's basically the communication administration. It's an association of people who help everybody make you feel better. It's the feel good community. And we were running a Cinco de Mayo and a Kentucky Derby event at work. So I designed my own game in a week before the event, and we played a Kentucky Derby game that I invented. And
Like a race game.
yeah, it's a racing game, and
Ooh,
it
I
could be
like
played
racing
very
game.
very simple from a fully luck version that I didn't have to have a lot of rules for people. I just said, let's do this, and I gave them the rules as we went, and everybody could pick it up and go right ahead. And I also have other ways to play it where it's you can pull it full on strategy. You're making decisions that are going to affect exactly how fast you can go in this race. And again, no matter how you play it, luck based or strategy based, it's almost the same length game because part of the rounds you go through, you're given an option for doing a what I call a turbo boost or a like you're able to get an extra boost out of something, and nobody can block that. So that gives you 5 free spaces. The game length is only 20 spaces, so in 4 rounds you're done, and you can do a round in just about 3 to 4 minutes. So it's a very finite, length of game from whether you have one player or 30 players.
That's
And
fun.
we were running it with 20 people horse racing all at the same time, so it was a lot of fun.
That sounds awesome.
People at the company thought it was great. They loved it. They asked me if I would bring it out to the summer company picnic. I said no. I says, but I'll reskin it, and I brought it out as rubber ducky races. So I
uh,
bought a bunch of these little cheap, Oriental Express rubber duckies, and
absolutely.
and everybody got to take their rubber ducky home. So it was like a perfect, like a parting gift.
There you go, man. Oriental Trading Company, man. If you can find anything on there,
Yep.
that's awesome. So, do you have a guilty pleasure, a game that you just don't feel like gets enough recognition?
Recognition for sure. I would say Harbor
Ooh,
is at eight. Is
beautiful.
at It's the Green Dragon logo. I can't think of the name of the
Uh,
company.
TMG.
TMG, yeah, TMG. I
Yeah, it's
kept
one of
thinking
my
A.
favorites.
It is. It's such a nice little game. It's a tiny little box. You can take it anywhere with you, and it gives you a play, and that market whole changing market
Oh
is just
man,
fantastic.
that's what I was gonna say. The market manipulation in that game is unreal. It is so good because you can screw over your opponent just by setting yourself up. You don't do it
Yes.
intentionally to mess them up. You did it because you
Sometimes you
had to
have
do it.
to.
Well, sometimes you. Okay,
Sometimes you just have
okay.
to say, okay,
So
when my daughter's kicking my butt, and I gotta say, no, you're not getting that.
you are not
I don't care
selling
what it's.
fish.
I'm gonna go do something else right now, just because I don't need you doing that and putting 12 points on me.
Yeah, you're not selling the cows for that amount. I'm sorry, you're just not. No, I love Harbor. I got the expansion pack, the little high tides. I've only played it once, so I don't really have a good feel for it. But Harbor's, oh, it's a good one.
And another one, I think that, I mean, I think it has a big following, but it's kind of old and it's been eclipsed by other things that Stegmeyer has done. Is Euphoria. I mean, being one of the first games that he produced, I love that game. Just
You
the
know,
the
I've
dice
never
dice
played it.
placement. It's I really enjoy it. I think it was one of the very first worker placement games that I played, and it kind
Yeah,
of got me into the whole worker placement thing. And now I've got it's probably my largest mechanics category that I own is worker placement.
yeah. My go to worker placement, hands down, is Champions of Midgard.
I have not tried it yet.
Oh my
I
goodness,
I have
great.
well, Lords of Waterdeep. I have.
So it's the same idea as Lords of Waterdeep so Lords of Waterdeep. I have a love hate with that one, right? Like it's a great game, but it's a game where like if you are paying attention and nobody else is paying attention, it's very annoying because you can't stop everybody by yourself. Everybody has to be working
Oh,
together,
absolutely. Yeah, I hear that.
and so the group I play with a lot, they just would not be paying attention to who needed the orange or the whatever color cube they needed, and they would do something else, and I'm like, I have to stop them or they will run away with the game.
But you can only do so much. Yeah.
Right. Whereas with Champions of Midgard, there's a lot more luck because it's dice rolling, right? But oh my gosh, it's a game. It's over 8 rounds and only 8 rounds. And like I always say, the first three, maybe four, you need a chair. You sit down, you play the game. You're sitting down, but by the time you're into round 5, nobody's sitting down. You're
Everybody's
all
standing up.
standing up, and you're rooting for people or you're rooting against people roll because it's just a bunch of dice rolling at this point. And you're battling the troll or the draugrs or the monsters, and you're like, yeah, come on, whiff, yeah, And I mean, it got a little raucous at our office playing that game, but it's a hoot, man. That's one of my favorite worker placement games. I love Lords of Waterdeep. You just gotta make sure you have the right people. That's the only problem I ever had with that game. Stone Age is another good one.
Yeah, I
Harbor
do
is
enjoy
just,
Stone Age.
and Harbor, oh my gosh, just love
Yeah.
it.
And again, I never even think of it as harbor as being worker placement, but really it is. I mean,
It's all, yeah,
it is truly that. I always think of it as, I feel like it's more it's almost like a tableau building because when you finally do buy the cards and they're yours, it's like in front of you and you feel like it's a part of your little establishment.
yeah.
Even though that
But you only
people,
have the one worker to keep moving around the board.
yep.
That's a game where like every decision matters. I just, it's so good. I love that game. Now you made me wonder where the heck my copy is. I'm gonna dust that thing off. I want to find that and dust it off. Oh my goodness, Harbor. Oh, I love Harbor. So I know the answer. You're a Kickstarter creator. Are you a Kickstarter backer as well?
Yeah, and I got an interesting story there. So far, I've backed 49 projects, but
No, it's not bad.
if you look at my Kickstarter profile, it's going to tell you 43. The purpose for that is one time I happened to log into Kickstarter as Facebook, and I had the exact same profile picture on my Facebook as I had on
Oh,
Kickstarter. I had no idea, and I was buying games under my Facebook account. And then one time I was like, I'm on there and I says, "Where's this game? I know I bought it. I'm looking for it on my profile. I can't find it. Can't find it." And I says, "I only had see 5 or 6 games on here. There should be like 30 games on here. Where are they?" And then that's when I realized I was logged into something else. And then I found out in the mail when 2 games arrived one day that I had bought the same thing on both accounts.
Oh, well done.
So,
Well done.
yep. So Mutant Crops is another one of my hidden pleasures.
You like it so much you bought it twice.
I did buy it twice. And the silly thing is, again, it's another worker placement. So, like that,
Obviously.
it's obviously a worker placement. And my daughter knew I like it. And she was at a game store down in Kent, Ohio,
Oh
and saw this
no.
on the shelf. And I think it was only $5 or $6. And she says, "My dad would probably like that." She
Oh
bought it for me and
no.
brought it to me. And I said, "Guess what? You just bought yourself a game because I have
Oh,
2 copies of it already."
oh goodness.
So,
And I've never
yeah,
even heard and I've never heard of this game, so
it's
that's
it
funny.
was very small. I'm sure it was probably again a first time publisher, and that's what most of my Kickstarters were. I mean, with the exception, well, I guess there's probably a good mix of them in there.
There's always
I did pick up
exceptions.
Dark Tower just because I lived that game when I was a kid. Man, that was one of my go tos. I didn't own it, but my neighbor did, and we would play it all the time. But I did that. Some of the bigger ones like Kingdom Rush and Brass, Birmingham and Lancashire. Did those.
Those are some big ones.
Yeah. So I've got a little bit of both, but a lot of times it's always for the little guy. And over the last 2 or 3 years, it really has been the little guys. Most of the designers I've met at conventions when I'm out there trying to push my game. I always stop in. I'll talk. I'll go to the unpublished room. I'll sit down and I'll play games with people. I'll offer up my suggestions. I'll give them whatever they want to hear about, and hopefully at some point I can get them to come play mine. And
I'll give them my opinion whether they want it or not.
well, if they don't ask for much, I won't beat up on anybody. Let's put that get crazy. I mean, there's stuff that I've seen people show me that has really no business being a game at this point, but
No, and that's
and they feel, and some of those people feel like, okay, it's ready to go. I'm ready to take this to a publisher, and then they're
yeah.
learning. That's
No,
somebody that's
it's
really new in it. It took me, oh gosh, 5 6 years before I finally had a game when I had New York Pizza Delivery that was at the point of, hey, I really think this is a good game, and that was only after my mother said, hey, I want to play again. It's
there you
like,
go.
how can you go wrong, man?
Right. If
When
your
somebody who
mom said it,
doesn't normally play games and she's asking to play again. So
absolutely, that's how you know
then
right
I
there.
questioned my mom though. One time we were all together with the family. There was 12 of us, and we were all playing Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, and she said something, and she sounded like she was totally like bamboozled, had no clue what she was doing, and everybody at the table's going, "No, no, do this." She was totally faking us out, totally faked us out, and she ended up winning the game.
That's awesome.
One stupid sentence she said, and she had all of us thinking she was an idiot. Oh, she
It's
totally threw us off the
awesome.
track and won. So I don't know if she was really knows what she's doing, or she just got really lucky. But parents can't trust them.
Hmm. No, you can't. My parents, we got them playing a lot of roll and rights lately because we can play them over Zoom. And
Gotcha.
so, yeah, they've been playing. We got them to kind of elevate from Yahtzee, which is good, up into the That's Pretty Clever, the Clever trilogy
Okay,
by,
yeah,
yeah, by Wolfgang
I did
Warsch.
play that
It's,
once. I played it.
uh,
I enjoy it much more in person than the app. I mean, somebody kept telling me you got to use the app. I said, well, the app's easy, but at that point there, I feel like you're just click, 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 click. It's not as much.
it's just a way
It
for me
doesn't
to test
feel.
strategies.
I guess so.
That's
That's
all I
true.
do. I just test. Will this work? Then I find out no, and then I just don't try it again. No, that's a good one. I love it. I have all three of them. I got my parents playing it. I bought it for my brother. Bought it for my sister. My two of my buddies have it. We play that one a lot. It's fun. I like the fact that it's like basically just Yahtzee and but more, and that more is what really drives that game. So, Kickstarter creator, you have a game on Kickstarter right now, New York Pizza Delivery.
Yep.
which I have played, and it is a lot of fun. It's so many different mechanics kind of mashed into one, which is a lot of fun. Makes the
They're
game.
not difficult mechanics. So that's I mean that's I think you said it right in your thing that the 16-page rule book seems a little daunting at first, but really it's just the first 3 or 4 pages, and it's all the rest
Yeah,
is explanations, or detailed explanations, I should say, examples and card descriptions and stuff. So
yeah, and then I like it because it's a resource set collection game where you're trying to collect the correct ingredients to match a pizza order, and then the mechanic of how far you can deliver based on how tall you've built your pizzerias, or how many cards you have that you're willing to discard to make up the difference, or any modifiers you might have. So you could take the subway, you can take the ferry boat. There's a
yeah,
lot. There's a lot going on, and it's a fun time. Like I said, I like the fact that it's a lot of different mechanics that work very well together.
yeah, and again, it's the last, I don't know, 8 months I've been playing it. I've been getting a lot of critiques that way. It's like, man, this is so much on the theme, because what you don't what you deliver becomes popular. Those go to the market. What you actually deliver goes to the sewer because that's where things go. You're spending money, so that's getting tossed away. You're building up your franchise, so that's investing in yourself. You get to count that at the end of the game. I mean, the theme I tried to hit in spades in this, man. I really tried
No,
to
I
put it
I
together.
agree. I agree. I like it. I think I worked off of one of your prototypes, so I not even a full production copy, and I think just even that was the stacking discs were great. The board, I like the crazy size of the board. It's not your standard board. I like that. It's I mean, you had a lot going on there, and it once you get in the flow of the game, it's fun. There's a lot to do. I like the power cards, and then the decisions on which ones do you keep, which ones do you get rid of, how can you maximize using them.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with that. Again, depending on whether you're playing with the 5 or 6 player expansion or not. There's some cards, if you feel you want to sprinkle some of those in there, especially with the power cards, you can do that for a little bit of more of that. Take that in a 4 player game. You could throw in some of the like a rough delivery. No tip for you. It's like little ones, especially after you've filled up your tableau with all your power cards that you want to use right now. You need some other little tidbits in your hand just to feel like you did something. Maybe you find $3 lying on the ground. You pick it up and add it to your board. It's perfect. Neat little stuff like that.
So how long did you take designing this one?
Oh, it's been a little over 3 years. I meant to go back and really look at my first copies of things that I have inside my computer here. I mean, I kept records all the way back. First rules, second rules, version 2. This thing when it turned into the next year. Um, but yeah, I've got stuff going back to my original card designs. I started off with like 16 different ingredients in the game, and now I'm down to
Thank
eight.
you. Thank you for thinning that down. Oh
Oh,
my
I had to.
goodness.
It was so bad before. It was
Wow.
so hard to make an order because you couldn't come up with the right ingredients. You just
But
couldn't do it.
isn't that hilarious though? Because that happened in my game, that started the whole bearded board games. Yeah, I had all these ideas, and then it was we played the game, like they didn't work. It was terrible, and then you just start. Like you said, you had 16 ingredients. That sure, there's tons of ingredients options when you go to a pizza, website,
Right. Yeah.
but you don't need six. That's so many cards, and like you said, you
Well, you
wouldn't
can
be able to
imagine
eat.
you would
Yeah, you
never be
need
able
an
to match a
anchovy. Yeah,
pizza.
exactly. You just where's the anchovy card? Dang it! And so yeah, and it's funny because even with fences, the game, our first design, which I'm so mad that Tim and I threw it away. It was that bad. It was a stained glass window game, and as you completed these polygons, once you enclosed the polygon, you got points based on how many corners you had in your shape. But by the time we got done with it, we were looking at the game. We all had like a headache because it was just an assault on your eyeballs. And we're like, this game has potential, but not as a stained glass window game. And we don't. apparently we tossed the tiles because we don't have them, but we still had the Excel spreadsheet that had all the tile layouts. So we still have that, but we don't have the actual physical tiles anymore. But
Yeah.
man, it
And
was
again,
a hoot.
you never learn on your first one, trust me, because New Year pizza delivery was probably my fourth or fifth game design that I've done.
I want to
I've
play
got
this
some.
rubber ducky races, man.
Yeah, that's actually you can see that on Tabletopia. I've got a 4-player version of it. It's called Leapfrog Rally. Because one day I picked up a tube of frogs and it was like, well, what can I use these for? And I says, oh, I can make a boxed version of my giant size, oversized horse racing game.
Oh, that's
So that's what I
hilarious.
did.
You ought to
And
make a print and play of it and just throw it up on your website for $3. I'm
yeah,
serious,
but
man.
no, I agree. Yeah, because
You
it's
got an
really,
Etsy shop, throw it up on your Etsy shop.
I
Make a
might
print
get
and
to
play,
that.
throw it up on your Etsy shop.
That's a
That's
good
my.
idea.
So what do you sell in your Etsy shop? Let's go back to that. I did not know until we started talking right now that you have an Etsy shop, and I'm like, where you sell
Yeah,
game pieces.
I
I'm
sell
like,
game accessories. So this again, this started from my mother-in-law, who she's now in her 80s, but she'd gotten this group of people who like to play samba, and they would play 6 deck samba. So now you got, you know, 30 cards in your hand at one time, and you can't hold them. So they were looking for, card holders, things that you set on your table and can hold your cards for you, and you can see everything. So she talked me into designing a card holder, and I made one or two for her or for her group, and she loved them. She says you should sell these. And I says, all right, maybe I'll sell a few. And I sold a few. And this was before I had an Etsy store, just selling it to her and her friends. And she says, well, my friend just got back from Florida. She has a condo that they live in the winter down in Florida in the place called the Villages. Well, the Villages is all 55 and up community. And all they do, I guess, is play samba over there. It's like a craze. So I says, well, that's really cool. She goes, yeah, she wants 6 of them. I says,
no.
okay. And then I says, well, I can make a few bucks off these things. And I wanted to do the art for my New York pizza delivery game. So I says, well, I might as well start making these. And then she asked for something to hold the cards in the center of the table that they can spin around. I says, well, they have those on. You can buy those on Amazon. And she says, yeah, but they don't really like it. It just stays put. They want to be able to slide it. So I came up with one that has little ball bearings on the corners for wheels, and it can hold 3 piles of cards, and you can slide it around to the next person real easy, and they all love that. So I did that for them, and that's what got us started. And I says, well, I could start selling these on Etsy's, and then I could make money to pay for the art that I need for my pizza delivery game. Because at that point, there I had a working my clip art cut and paste garbagey prototype that looked. I mean, you could probably still go onto the Facebook page and see some old pictures of it. There's some really rudimentary looking stuff there, and it turned out it worked out well. However, it got to the point where these kind of cheap at home 3D printers tend to fail occasionally. And when I say occasionally, I mean like every third print. So instead of having my business shut down every 3 or 4 days, I decided to buy a couple other printers. So I bought 2 more, and then 2 more, and now I'm up to 7 printers. And during heavy con season, basically about 2 weeks before Gen Con, I shut it down. My website, it took everything off. I said, I'm just going on a little vacation. And I didn't open it up again until November 1st. So I just opened it back up. It was open for 2 days and had orders already. So I can't
There's nothing
complain.
wrong with that demand.
No. And in the meantime, as I was doing that, I said, well, what else can I do? And I had a couple custom insert sets that I made for my own games here. I made one for Happy Pigs, and I made one for Robinson Crusoe, and a couple more. And I had those, and of course, I had gizmos at the time, and it came with a punch out cardboard thing that you stuck together to hold the marbles in. And mine was working fine, but I know I heard plenty of horror stories. People said, oh, it's falling apart. It won't hold together. I have to tape it all the time. It's just garbage. So I says, what can I make that's, plastic printed? So I came up with a really simple kind of oval design so that it would hold a lot of marbles and fit in the box. And yeah, that was nice. It seemed to work, but it didn't fit. I mean, it slopped around in the box, wasn't great. And of course, I came up with an expansion to Gizmos. And I called it the nuclear expansion because I had green, yeah, green,
Filament.
not green balls. Yeah, green because there's blue. Yeah, I added green, color green marbles to it for nuclear marbles because they have all the other battery powered, wind powered, all that other stuff. So I added nuclear to it. And I came up with some cards that would work as an expansion. And I says, well, nuclear? Well, you know what would be cool is if this thing came out of a nuclear plant. So I designed a 3D nuclear plant,
That's
drew it
awesome.
up, and I started selling that. And then I got my Kickstarter version of Oceans, and I made an insert for that. It's a custom insert. So everything fits in the box perfectly. So you can either put the box horizontal or you can stand it vertical on your shelf. Nothing moves. Everything stays put. And
That's how you know a gamer created it right there.
yeah. And in the
Nothing will
meantime,
move.
yeah, I've done a lot of custom ones for the family. Like I did a race for the galaxy for my daughter.
Anytime you can speed up, set up, and tear down, that's the way to go.
Yeah, not really tear down because basically a tear down you're resetting it up for the next time. But yeah, pulling out and setting up, you're ready to go right now.
Also, just want to mention real quick, it's heirloom is
Yeah,
AIRLOOM, not
yeah.
like heirloom
I didn't want to
tomatoes.
go with that crazy H in the beginning. That's who spells heirloom.
That's a tomato. We're not looking for tomatoes. We're looking for games.
Well, I also got into poker chips too. One of my game group buddies, he has these little poker chips. They're only like 19 millimeters in diameters, but they're the out of the clay tiles like you would see at a Las Vegas poker chip. And I says, I really like those. And he says, man, I had these for years. I don't even know where you got them. So I spent, I don't know, probably 2 weeks searching the internet, scouring every possible place I can find until I ran across some on Discount Poker Shop, these little micro ones. And at the time, they only had like two colors left. Everything was all sold out. I said, well, I'm going to buy those. And I bought them, brought them in. And I says, now I need to hold them in something. So I designed a couple chip holders to hold these things in. One that fit into a standard 5x7 photo case you can get at Michaels or Joanne Fabrics or something like that. And while I was designing that and ran the first one, I says, let me see if they got any more. And then they got all 9 colors back in. So I bought a full complement of 9 colors. And then I says, well, now I got too many. It won't fit in that one box. So I says, what's next? And I found the Plano box that was bigger, a tackle box at Walmart. And I says, that'll work. So I took that and then designed an insert set for that. And now
If I had half the knowledge you do on creating stuff in 3D, I would drive my wife insane. I would just be 3D printing all kinds of stuff.
yeah,
That's
like
for
that
sure.
clock right behind you there. Yeah, I could print that thing.
Yeah, yeah. That was an Etsy purchase actually.
Was it? Is that
Yeah.
3D? Is it 3D printed?
It's not. It is like compressed
Laser
board.
cut or something? Huh?
Yeah, it's laser cut. Yeah, it's sweet. I like it.
That's the next toy I'm or thinking about is a laser cutter. A laser.
All your kids are out of the house. I take it, turning their
Yeah,
bedrooms.
yeah. I've got
All their bedrooms are turning into woodworking shops for dad.
no, no, no. I don't get to do that. I'm stuck to the garage if I need woodworking. I already took over our old computer room as my print shop, so that's got all my printers in it.
You
And we
gotta
moved it.
contact your local your power company. Can I get another 100 amp feed to my house?
I already got 200 amp service, so yeah. Hopefully, I don't need any more.
Just give me another 100. Straight to the garage. Straight to
Yeah.
the garage. That's awesome. No, it's I know my bedroom is no longer at my parents' house. It's gone. I think both my siblings' rooms are still around. They were upstairs. I was downstairs. My room's kind of turned into where they put their treadmill and exercise bike.
You come from the room of do nothing.
Yeah, I figured kids are gone. You got the laser cutter in one room. You got the 3D printers in another room. You got a game
Yeah.
room in another one.
Yeah, laser. Oh, that's the other thing I 3D printed. That was really cool. When I redid my game room, we bought these really industrial looking light fan combo things. And I said, boy, wouldn't those look cool if they looked like they were steampunk coming out of the ceiling? So I 3D printed a bunch of gear drives and stuff. So it is amazing. And then I put uh, what do they call it? IRC LEDs up there, so they're controlled, so I can make them run patterns and do all this other stuff. I put those up on the ceiling. One of these days, I'm gonna, and this was all right at the start of COVID. I did all this, and one of these days, I'm gonna get some people back over to the house, and maybe we'll actually play some games here.
Heck yeah, man! As soon as next year, or well, who knows? I'll come by. We'll play something. Next time I got 9 hours and a weekend ahead of me.
Well, if you're still doing game design, I think in February, I think they're planning a Cleveland Proto Spiel up here.
Ooh.
So
I'd ask if I could stay at your place, but it sounds like all your bedrooms are full
I
of
got
stuff.
room. I got room. There's at least 2 spare bedrooms with nothing in them, as long as you don't mind dogs.
Yeah,
I, I do have 2 amazing Shiba Inus there. They're fantastic dogs.
Yeah, I got a 90-pound rot and a 60-pound German Shepherd rot mix.
So you got mini horses.
My kids when they were little, while my daughter's still little, they would use the Rottweiler as a step. They would grab the Rottweiler by her collar, take her over to the counter. She would lay down. The kids would step up on her to get candy off the counter.
That's an amazing dog. That's a good. The dog must have got something out of it. They must have been treating
Uh,
that dog.
that dog, now that's the same dog that eats off the counter and recently had to go to the vet to have glass removed from her stomach.
Oh my goodness!
She knocked something off the
And
oven,
ate it.
ate it so fast so the other dog couldn't get any of it that she ate the glass container that it was in.
Oh jeez.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but
it's
yeah.
like my daughter has some 2 big dogs. One 85-pound Akita and
Oh,
another
jeez.
another 80-pound pit bull mix.
Oh my
Friendliest
goodness.
dogs in the world, but man, they are the pit bull is like a tank. It comes
Oh
around,
yeah.
and if you got to get out of the way of that tail because it will leave a welt.
Oh, that Rottweiler, I always joke, but one time she attacks the mail when it comes through the mail hole in the door. So so a lot of times when we know the mail's coming, we put her outside. This time I heard the mailman coming. I heard her run to the door. I ran to try to tackle her, and it was like getting hit by a linebacker, man. She hit me full steam and like knocked me down. Like, whoo! That was something else.
Yeah, that would be bad, man. Next thing you know, you're getting a Kickstarter in the mail, and the dog's chewed it up.
That happened. That happened on a print and play that they sent me a production of the print and play. It came through the mail slot and she tore it up. Luckily, they sent me another one. I had it sent to my office so that she wouldn't tear it up. But yeah, that happened. Thank goodness they don't shove packages through the mail slot so much
Can
anymore
you
because
use
they
an
know the
excuse as like when the illuminating company sends you a bill that, hey, my dog ate it. Can't pay it this month. My dog ate it.
You don't believe me? Come by. Put something in that mail slot. She shredded my birthday card last year. I took a picture of it and sent it to the person that sent me the card. I'm like, hey, I got your card and a puzzle.
Well, you know what? It means you didn't get a year older now.
Yeah,
You're younger. You
yeah,
missed a
I
whole birthday. Gone.
just stayed at 39. All I know now is I have to scroll to reach my birth date of the
Oh,
year.
wait, it gets worse.
Yeah. I do not appreciate how far I have to scroll to get to my year of birth. It's kind of like, come on, I'm not that old, am I? Scroll, scroll, scroll. I'm like, come on. Nobody born in 2021 is using this thing. Come on. Like verify your age 2021. Come on. What kid born in 2021 is using a computer? Give me a break. So how much time you got left on New York pizza delivery?
I think we're down to the last 12 days or so.
All right, so let's.
So we're a little over, we're right at halfway. We're at 48, 49%, something like that.
So if somebody want to reach out to you, you've got it set up on Tabletopia or one of those, right?
Yeah, it's on Tabletopia. You just look up New York Pizza Delivery. You can find it. I've opened it up so you can play all different versions on there. Everything from the co-op and solo mode. I mean, you have to play on a little different map because I don't have all the maps loaded in there. Because of course it takes a lot of memory to put that stuff up there. And they only give you so much free, and then I ended up having to pay for it because I took up too much space. So,
Well, now you can put up even more, right?
well, yeah, I
You've
don't know how
already,
long
I
I'll keep it
mean,
going. What
You
I
already
need to
paid
do is
for it.
I need to do some experimenting. I want to see if because I got a feeling once I've made the game that goes up there and operates, I think I can get rid of all the stuff that was stored on the drive that I had to upload, and it would open up more space for me. But I'm gonna experiment with that first.
Yeah, I have no idea about anything you just said.
Yeah, well,
I tried to get on Board Game Arena. I tried to get on Steam and Tabletop Simulator, and I just can't figure it
I
out. I don't
I
know
really had
why.
high hopes for that because I again COVID hit and right away I was BGG BGG Online started that like within a few months. It was June, I think. We were had an online convention. I thought it was really neat. I really enjoyed how it went. I thought maybe it would be a really good alternative to having to go to conventions and thing, but I guess I must be a strange breed, and not enough people really dove into it and said, "Yeah, this is worthy to use." Then I went to Gen Con online right after that, a couple months later, and it was half as big as what Board Game Geek Online was, but it was still fairly well attended.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see. Hopefully, 2022 kind of get back more into the face to face. I went to Geekway here last month. They didn't have the vendor hall, and it didn't feel the same. I didn't take days off from work like I normally do. It was in the middle of the week, so I just went after work. Met up with a friend that was in from out of town and played some games, and it was all right. It was cool to be back at a convention, but at the same time, it just didn't have the same feel.
Yeah,
So hopefully we kind of get back into more in person. I wrote down February Cleveland Proto Spiel, so I'm gonna keep my ears and eyes out for
yeah,
that one for sure. 'Cause it's only a 9 hour drive, and Proto Spiel. What I like about those events, I was supposed to go to the Chicago one last year, didn't happen. Indianapolis one didn't happen, and I was actually sick this year when the Chicago one was supposed to happen again. I was sick that weekend, not with COVID, just sinus pressures and stuff like that, so I couldn't go. So maybe I'll go to the Cleveland one because you pay for a table, and then people pay like $5 to come play all these prototypes. You pay like I don't know if it's $5 at Cleveland.
yeah. I think what we did is designers. I think they charged us $25, and play testers they only charged $5 or whatever.
Yeah, and that's insane. $25, I get a table, and then people pay $5, come in and can just it's like a gamer's like paradise. Just go play all these unpublished games, give all your feedback, and you get to play all these games before they come out, and you pay $5. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's
I cannot wait to give one of these a shot because $25 to have a table and just I have a handful of games that aren't published, and I'll bring them all. I'm like, hey, what do you guys want to do? I got a worker placement game. I know a guy that likes worker placement games.
I know one too. He looks a little bit like me.
It's like my evil twin and my doppelganger. So, but no, I will definitely keep an eye and ear out for that.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
that'd be
definitely
great.
we would love to get more play testers. I mean, that's I
I'll
mean,
bring a bus.
we probably had 70 people there, not this past,
Woo!
but 2 years ago.
That's pretty
But
good.
I would say that was 60 designers and 10 playtesters.
Oh, okay, okay. But
So,
yeah, but you still get
but
to
it was
hang
fine.
out.
Everybody
Yeah,
got to play their. I mean, everybody went and played everybody else's games. It was just the way it was.
sure. No, that's awesome. Yeah, man. Maybe depending on what it is, I'll bring my son and turn him loose. Like, go
Yeah,
find a game that you want to play, buddy, and let Daddy know about it later.
yeah. Because that's. I mean, last time I was there, I pulled out this one. I've got a nice marble roll again on the gizmos theme kind of thing, rolling marbles down into a pattern, kind of like potion explosion, but
Ocean
more like
explosion.
gizmos. It's got some neat things to it, but it's in need of some help by other people who are in the gaming industry, so it gets a good flow.
And
And
I'll tell you
it's
what.
got a good table presence right now. It looks cool, and it's got some neat things going on with it. But I
Well,
haven't
heck
got
yeah, you
the.
3D printed everything, man.
I
You
did. I got a bunch of
gotta.
them.
Yeah, it makes it. I'll tell you though, I think we're seeing a lot of these games going into that third dimension's pretty cool. Built. Not necessarily like minis, but like games that are going up.
Yeah,
You
there's
know.
a. Well, actually, somebody was at that Protospiel, and I can't remember the name, but I saw it at Origins. They actually had full working, real off the press prototypes, and it should be coming shipping shortly. But it was these maybe 3-inch cubes, and they have pictures of like track on them. And depending on how you place them on the table and stack them up, you're making a road or you're traveling your piece on the track on all three sides of these cubes, these big 3-inch cubes.
Oh, that's
It
awesome.
was really cool. And I got to see that there. And I got to see another one that was, I mean, just the cool games you get to see in their raw
Yeah.
state before they, before they've gone the way. And another
Yeah.
one with uh, clear tiles that you can, that were partially, or you lift up off the board, and other things were happening underneath. And it was just amazing stuff. And the guys were all there just doing this stuff up.
That's awesome. I mean, we have a meetup here in St. Louis. Well, we have it twice a month, and I'm looking forward to going to it. I believe it's this Sunday actually, and seeing some of the guys and seeing some where their prototypes are and everything like that. So it's because, like you said, you get to see these games. They really do want your feedback because anything to make the game better is better for everybody. So makes a better game.
It's interesting. I do a lot of Facebook group reading and watching the new designers emerge, watching them come out there. They're all so nervous about, oh, can I really show this? Can I talk about it? Somebody gonna steal it? And they still haven't grasped the concept. It takes so much to steal your game
Yeah.
that is it really worth it? I mean, it's the little guys aren't going to do it. You got to worry about maybe like a large publisher seeing it and trying to steal it. But if you have enough background ammunition, they'd have a hard time doing it. At
Or
least
or if it's that good of a game, they're not going to steal it. They're going to
they're
come over
just
and ask you, and
yeah.
you're going to get it. Like I have a hard time believing that Hasbro is going to come steal my game. Like
No, yeah.
it's Hasbro. If they want it, they can come buy it from me.
Well, I do have an interesting little story about them. But back from many years ago in my toy industry, when I was at Cap Toys, they were bought by Hasbro.
Well, they
So
bought everybody, but go
yeah,
ahead.
they bought everybody. So they bought that Cap Toys, and they moved Cap Toys from the Cleveland area out to California. I had the opportunity to go with them, but I looked at the property out there, and I says, "How are you gonna for me to move in the same type of house I have here and all that? How are you gonna double my salary? How can you
Yeah.
afford to do that?" And they said, "Well, we're not gonna double your salary." I said, "Well, then I'm definitely not going. There's just no way." And but I says I'd love to stay in touch, so I kept in good touch with a bunch of people there, and one of the guys was down at Kenner or something down in the Cincinnati area. And I got an opportunity when I ran my own company doing product development. I took a bunch of designs down there and pitched them to them. Of course, I got the obligatory, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. We're not looking at any of those things right now. And then literally 9 months later, I saw something almost identical to something I pitched them. It wasn't worth it for me to go after them because it wasn't that big of a product line, and it was more like a infant toy. And I says, it's just not worth it. I you know, didn't have the funds to go fighting them. And you'd
That's
never, I mean,
crazy.
even if I won, it would be wrapped up so long, I would be giving all my money to somebody else, lawyers and such. But I still have the old art to show people that if they don't believe me, I say, here it is. There's dates on it, and there's my designer I paid to do it.
Well, Ralph Anspach, he went out. They came after him over his game Anti Monopoly, and he spent years fighting Parker Brothers in the courts before he finally won.
Yeah, and it cost him a boatload of money to fight for something he didn't probably make half as much on.
No, I think it was just more or less. It was just the principle of the thing that he wanted to not be run over by the big man. So, but you've got the proof. You can show
Yeah,
your grandkids someday. That toy you played with and you really liked. I actually created that.
and it was nothing. It was a water toy for bath time play for kids. It was like nothing major, but hey, it was there. So I've got a few of those old toy designs sticking around in my brain if I ever get. And again, I always told myself once I get my 3D printers up and running, I'll go ahead and make that and just make my prototype for myself. I haven't got around to that because I've been too busy doing other things.
Too busy making Sambo card holders.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you got to do simple stuff, man.
Ron Rich, the guy that hit it big at the nursing home selling card holders.
Yep.
That's the way to go, man. Shoot. Low cost, high profit.
Everything. Yep.
Well, Ron, I'd like to thank you for being on my show today. It's Heirloom Games, AIRLOOM, Heirloom Games. You
Yep.
can find them on Etsy, the Heirloom Game Store. You can find them on Facebook. Game is
Here.
New York Pizza Delivery. It's on Kickstarter right now. If anybody wanted to reach out to you, Ron, how can they do that?
Best way is through Facebook at Heirloom Games or at New York Pizza Delivery. Just PM me. I'm right there. It's only me. You're not going through anybody else.
Company of
I'm
one.
a company micro-sized. That's
Yeah,
what.
I mean, that's how we set this interview up. I had my people get with your people, which was just me contacting you.
Exactly, and we were done.
And then it was, oh man, I almost forgot to ask a question. What color do you gravitate towards when playing a game?
Purple, of course.
Purple.
I love purple. But if purple's not there, then I have to go blue. And of course, blue's not there. I'll usually take black because nobody ever likes black. But the bottom line is, I always get stuck with the leftovers because if I'm teaching it, I always let everybody else pick their own colors first.
Well, I can tell you for the most part, all games from Bearded Board Games will have purple in them, as that is my son's favorite color to be as well, and he is one of our leading playtesters. That's why Finsis has purples. Shark Hunt will have purple. I can almost guarantee you that almost every game that has colors from Bearded Board Games will have purple.
Yeah, excellent.
So,
purple was always, I mean, it's in New York Pizza Delivery. Don't get me wrong. It's
it
there,
is.
But it was going to be a 5th and 6th player color. Purple and orange as 5 and 6.
I put purple in and booted green out. That green and white are our 5th and 6th player.
Yeah, the only reason why those are my 5 and 6 is I've got a couple guys in my game group that are colorblind, and I went over colors heavily with these guys.
Yep. There's a lot. You're right though. There's a lot to that. Shapes, colors, contrasts. Yeah, it's designs, squiggly lines. There's a lot to be said.
All the New York pizza is like that. The colors on there, if they're close colors, there are things that would be confused with color blindness. One will have a dark text and one will have a light text. So those two will distinguish which it is. And if it's really bad, one of the other guys that played with me in Origins this year, he was totally colorblind. He couldn't see any of the colors. And he said, how am I supposed to know which village this goes to by color? And for the last 3 years, I've always been talking, hey, move into the yellow, the financial district, tell them by color. And then I realized, oh, you don't need to worry about color at all. Read the words right on the card. They're right there. It tells you exactly what. And then he says, oh, that's it. I'm done. It's perfect. Little things like that. I mean, granted, moving to a different language, if this was ever made in a different language, it may make a difference. But I guess if it would move to a different language, it'd probably move to a different city and use different names so that people would be more familiar with them too. Thanks for having me, man. I don't want to take up your whole night.
If you want to reach out to me, it's facebook.com/eatlunchandboardgame or email me at eatlunchandboardgame@gmail.com. And remember, board games build bridges.
Stay in tune with all things sports around Indiana and the nation with the Crash Course Podcast. Each week, we tackle the big storylines from the world of the Colts, Pacers, and the Indiana college scene, while also keeping a pulse on the nation. We record live weekly at twitch.tv/3C Media and can be found on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts can be heard, you can catch the Crash Course Podcast.
When you're gaming, why not be comfy? Go over to supportplayer.org. Click on the cards, pieces, and dice to get some merch. These t-shirts are some of the most comfortable I have ever worn. That's supportplayer.org, and there's a link on eatlunchandboardgame.com.